Let's learn about log analysis. Let's learn about the log first of all. Okay, so log is basically a record. As you can see, log is basically a record in the system that captures important details like errors, warning, user activity. It can be anything depending on types of log that you are collecting. Are you collecting the authentication log? Are you collecting security logs? Are you collecting network related log, or maybe warning logs or system related logs? Okay, every system, every application generate logs, and they have a different pattern altogether. The activity performed by SOC analyst is called log analysis to find the relevant data from the log. Okay, something happened in the past. Now you want to know what was happened, how exactly it happened. So you get those information from the logs from the past event, and the activity is called log analysis. It's very very important, remember this. Now, log consists of some relevant, some very, very useful information that consists of timestamp. You can see that consists of timestamp when the alert or the event was triggered, and then the event description. What is there in the event? A new user was created, or maybe a new connection was established with a remote IP address, or maybe the user login attempt was failed, or maybe a new command was executed, anything. Okay, then there's a severity as well. I mean, if this log is critical, error, or just a warning, or maybe an information, that's it. Okay, and then there can be source as well. I mean, what user executed this specific command, or what process was initialized, or what service was started or stopped. Okay, so this is all usually defined in the login tree. Okay, so now as we go ahead, I mean, let me show you an example of a log. So this is an example log of linux auth.log file. Okay, rest everything I'll tell you later. Let's first look at the example log. This is the example log. As you can see, it can be divided into multiple sections. First, you can see this is your timestamp. You see this? This is your timestamp, and it's written over here as well. You see this? This is the timestamp. Then you have Ubuntu, which is the host name. You see this? This is your host name. Then you have sshd, which is the name of the process or the daemon. You see this? SSHD, which is SSH daemon. So this is more of a failed password for an invalid user. So a user tried accessing the server, but maybe it's an invalid user, and the user name doesn't exist, or the combination doesn't exist. Okay, so in that case, you will see the specific event or the log description, which is failed password for invalid user admin. It's failed pass credential combination. Okay, then it also shows you the source IP address from where the attempt was executed. Okay, then you also have a port number of the source IP address 54321, and finally you have a protocol which is SSH2. Okay, protocol version especially. Right, so this is an example of a log. This is very important. Let's say for example, some there are multiple similar log entry coming in from the same IP address. Now this can be really informational, so that I can possibly block this specific IP address in the future. Right, so logs are very very important for investigation and taking the action in the future. Let's talk about different log sources. So in the Linux, there are different log sources, and in the Windows, we have different log sources. In the Linux, there can be a system specific logs, and there can be a application specific logs as well. System specific logs are constant. Okay, application logs depends on what application have you installed. Maybe you have an Apache install on your machine. Maybe you have MySQL, MongoDB, anything related to that. Every application will generate its own log. Okay, and remember, all the logs has their own format. That's why you need solution like SIEM, which can normalize and standardize the log format. Right, now let's talk about the system related logs. When in any sort of a Linux machine, usually the logs are stored in the /var/log, And under this directory you will find all the logs. Maybe it's related to system related logs, that will be syslog. Okay, you see this syslog for system messages. Any process being started, stopped, anything happening into the overall general system activity. Then we also have auth.log. Okay, this is authentication related log. So if a ssh attempt was successful, failed, someone tried accessing the machine, brute force, everything will be mentioned over there. Okay, then we also have kernel related log, kernel, okay, which will be kern.log, which is kernel related logs. Okay, then we can have a application specific log like Apache, that will be stored in slash var slash log slash Apache 2. Maybe let's say we have some other application suricata, so that will be slash var slash log slash suricata slash suricata.log. Okay, so that's how the logs are stored, and these are the categories of log that you can see. Okay, next we also have Windows specific logs. So Windows usually store all the logs in the event viewer. Okay, so you can go to your start Windows icon and search for event viewer. Once you search for the event viewer, you will get different categories of log, different types of logs. These are some of the important logs that is relevant for a SOC analyst or for any network analysis. Okay, so system related logs, these are stored related to operating system event. There are some security related logs as well, that consists the login attempt, permission changes. We also have application related logs to store the logs for a application. We also have PowerShell related log. This is what we are going to cover in this lab. PowerShell related logs. There are logs for PowerShell command. If certain logs, if certain commands are executed using PowerShell, editor or PowerShell prompt, so that will be stored here. If specific process being executed, a child or parent relationship being established, so those will be captured by PowerShell specific log. Remember, in Windows, every logs, I mean, it is usually called as event, and every event has got a number. Okay, so there will be an event ID for every log. Okay, in Windows we call it as event. So every event has its own event ID. Remember this. For security professionals, there is one more very important type of log which is not mentioned here, because usually it need to be installed separately. It's called sysmon. Okay, so this needs to be, it's kind of a driver which need to be installed onto the your Windows machine separately, and once it is installed, it will capture security related events. All right, so we'll cover that up maybe in the future. And let's talk about the next section. Next, you have how does SOC analyst use log analysis? Okay, so basically, the major use case is the incident detection. Okay, this is where SOC analysts review the logs, detect unusual activity as well. It is not usually done manually most of the time. What we have is the company. We have something called SIEM solution. In the SIEM, we collect all the logs from different machines, from maybe let's say endpoints like Windows, maybe Linux machine, or maybe different application, or maybe security solutions like EDR, antivirus solutions, everything from the network, maybe firewall logs as well, right? So once you get all the events on the SIEM solution, then you create a rule. If any rule matches with the existing events or logs, it will generate an alert. I hope that was clear, right? So that get triggered, and that's how you create an incident. Let me tell you one more time. You have logs, right? Okay, and this is your SIEM solutions, right? SIEM solutions. When onto the SIEM solution, there are different rules. Okay, when a log specific log matches with the existing rule created on the SIEM solution, it will generate an alert. Okay, and once you start working on a specific alert, or maybe you want to perform a specific investigation or relevant issues, that's where you create an incident. and you start your investigation. All right, so that's how it becomes really helpful for incident detection. It is also helpful for forensic activity, because forensic is need to be done once something happened, right? So let's say a data breach happened in the network. Now you want to know how exactly the data breach was happened, who logged it into what server, and how this attacker moved from one computer to another computer, how he was able to bypass the firewalls. This all will be captured on different logs. So you can do that by performing forensics by using the log analysis. It's also quite useful for security monitoring and compliance purpose as well. As a part of different compliances like PCI DSS, HIPAA compliance, GDPR, you must store all the logs, and then you can of course perform the log analysis whenever it's needed. Okay, now let's talk about the final point, which is popular tools for log analysis. One of the very popular tool is called Splunk. Splunk is quite popular. Of course, this will be covered in this 30 days SOC challenge as well, so don't worry about it. We'll be having some custom logs. I created different log samples just for you to experience that, experience the real world issues. Okay, then we also have ELK. It's not covered in this 30 days challenge. It's covered in my ultimate security analyst program. You can learn about that program later. It's a paid program. So ELK stack, which is also again very popular. Large enterprises, organization use it heavily. So this is also very powerful for log collection, log storing the logs and visualizing the logs. Splunk is also powerful. Greylog is also an open source solution, also has the enterprise solution with them. Okay, it's majorly used for log retention storage, but nowadays people also use it for log analysis. Then we have Wazoo. It's also completely an open source platform. This is all about logs, different sources of log, how logs, and how does SOC analyst use log analysis, uses log analysis technique, I would say, and different tools used for log analysis.